Welcome to the Blueprints Podcast. I'm Isabelle Brodeghem, Director of Marketing here at Custom Built Designer Modeling, joined today by Michael Flory, founder, CEO, and my dad. And today we're going to be talking about a unique tool that you have used and I have used as well in business just to simplify our lives and really to create forward traction.
Yeah, I'm excited to be with you as always.
Yeah. And in this space too, I want to mention that we're out in Hidden Grove right now, which is a place in Williamston, a beautiful venue, as you can see. And Andrea and her team have worked hard to open up this space. We've used it previously for events and obviously is just a gorgeous backdrop. So Andrea, thank you for opening up your space to us today. We're excited to be here and be here.
Yeah, it's awesome. Thank you so much. So life targets. This has been really instrumental. One of the things that I've believed in as an entrepreneur through my career is hiring coaches. And I just knew early on that I needed a coach to go to where I wanted to go because the place that I was going to, I'd never been before. And I figured, if I had a coach, I might get there faster and happier and all the things that we kind of aspire for when we first start a business. So a couple of years ago, I hired a coach. His name is Dave, and Dave Owens. Dave Owens, shout out to Dave as well today.
Yeah.
Dave has been very instrumental in helping us really grow our business over the last couple of years. And one of the things, I met Dave at a conference, a marketing conference of all things. And when we were there, we talked on a panel with Dave.
We did.
And after he talked, he said some things in his panel that really intrigued me. That was different than any other panel member was up there. I just really felt like this genuine love for his people and how he coached his people. And I thought, man, that's really interesting. And as he was talking about we were at a conference about doing assignment selling, which is basically changing the way the sales team sold, which can create a lot of friction with salespeople that are used to getting leads and doing it this way. And now we're asking them to create videos or be a part of creating videos and be a part of writing blogs. And he just talked about how with what he looks for as a coach, he's looking for who's adopting. He doesn't spend all of his time trying to get the person that won't adopt to adopt. He spends his time with the top performers who are doing it and implementing it. And that's where he just pours energy into that. And then they pour energy into the rest of the team and brings the rest of the team up. And so after this panel, I sought him out in the hallway somewhere, and we ran into each other right outside in the hallway, and said, tell me, what's been your secret? Because I heard a little bit about his business, and he just really quickly rattled off this LIFE acronym that we're going to talk about today. So, and it just caught my heart. I'm like, man, I want to know more about that, So him and I had some time that night at a networking event. We were out with everybody, and I got to know him. And then as I hired him as a coach and we started going through it, he started talking to me about life targets, and he started talking about a 90-day world, which I was familiar with, a 90-day world.
Yep.
Because at EOS, we run our company on a 90-day world. I understand the fact that we can't, as humans, typically 1 year is too long to have goals. So you break them up into 90-day increments, and you really go, you set goals and you go for 90 days and then you reset goals. And so Dave started talking about the life targets. And so we have this L.I.F.E acronym, and everybody's kind of wondering, what does this mean? Well, it's life, but the number one. And so I think today would be really fun if we shared some of our targets. I brought my targets with me, and you got some of your targets, and we're entering into the third quarter of 2025. So the coolest thing about targets are you can start them anytime. You'd be like, oh, I got to wait until next quarter. No, you don't have to wait until next quarter. You can start your targets today. If you were 1 week left in this quarter, you could start. You have 7 days left to get your targets done. What are you going to get done in the next 7 days? So that's what I love about these targets, is that they really give you flexibility.
And then the other thing I love about these targets is, like you said, we're familiar with the 90-day world. We set goals as a business, but the life targets is really a way to bring the personal and the professional together.
Yeah.
Because it's so important that our cups are full in both areas. Like work-life integration is something that I really work on instead of work-life balance.
Right.
And so this just ties it all together for me. It's not just about all the professional goals that I have, but also the personal goals, and those tie together.
Yeah. Yeah. And one little side note for all entrepreneurs or any leaders that are listening to this podcast today is that when you are frustrated with everything that's going on around you, you're frustrated with your people, you're frustrated with your systems, you're frustrated with your process. One of the things that, one of the greatest pieces of advice I get from my coach currently, Dave, is, in a really tough session one day, I was really going into all the issues in the business. He's like, you know what, Mike? every one of the issues are your issues. I'm like, well, what do you mean? Every issue in the business is your business. You're in the business is your issue. You're the one that decided you wanted to grow this business. And when you decided to grow this business, you didn't have the SOPs in place. You didn't have the people in place. You went out and hired all that, and you've put people in place. And now you got to coach them. But they got struggles going on in their life, and you got struggles going on in your life. And the struggles that are going on in your life is it permeates out into your business. And it's like, so as a leader, as an entrepreneur, the first piece of this is, if you're not willing to do life targets, your team is not going to do life targets. So you
Yes,
gotta implement this for yourself, because it's just not going to happen if you read a book and you tell somebody about it, but you don't do the book.
absolutely. So what are the life targets? Give the lay of the land for
Yeah.
what L stands for
So
IFE.
so LIFE. So number one is legacy.
What do you want to be known for? And we'll give like our life targets, which I think will ground what we're talking about here. But yeah, legacy is the first thing, and it honestly is the most important thing.
Yeah, I think they're all.
They're all really important, but I think for me it's the one that like I am most convicted about, and like, who do you want to be known as? What do you want to be known for, right?
Sure.
And so starting with that, instead of in my world, oftentimes like I'm very tactical with business things and I
Okay,
can
well,
get
we'll
very
get to that.
focused.
So
So
the
okay.
second one is inspiration. So I stands for inspiration. So what inspires you? What adds energy into your life? It could be spiritual, could be God, could be nature. Some people relate to nature. Some people relate to God different. Some people don't relate to God at all. Some people. So what is it that inspires you? Art. I
Mm,
think of art, things like that. So what is it that you need to do over the next 90 days to inspire you, and like what's going to bring you to life? And then the next one, super important, no health, no life. All of these goals don't matter. So this is why I was saying I think they're all
it's
pretty,
true.
pretty, pretty critical, is fitness. So your fitness goals, what are you doing to be healthy, both, mentally. So I think about like energy, especially when you're not in your 20s anymore. Energy, you need to prioritize what you eat and how you exercise, and all those things are going to affect how you show up in all of these areas, all four areas. And then the last one, that we talk about is enterprise. So that's the work realm. And what I found for me is work tends to be the easiest place to set goals, because I know how many dollars in sales that I got to produce this quarter. I know how many installs we got to do. I know, it tends to be very tactical. And that's what we want these goals to be. We want these goals to be very trackable
Mm-hmm.
and very simple, and when we set them. So let's dive in, and we'll share some of ours, and maybe you have anything else to add to the.
Yeah, just the one other thing as you're saying that, we make these goals SMART. So if you haven't heard of the SMART goal acronym, it's specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. Obviously, it's time bound, but that's a good acronym to really flesh out each one of these targets and make sure you are, on track and actually can hit and achieve those in 90 days.
Yeah.
So, legacy. Let's talk about if you want to start off and share your legacy targets for the next 90 days.
Yeah, so my legacy targets, I think I have 10 10 date nights set aside over this next quarter, to take my wife on a date. So to take Cassie out on a date, and we make time for that. It's Friday nights typically. Sometimes life gets in the way, so we'll shift. But there's 13 weeks in a quarter, so I
Mhm.
have 13 weeks to get stuff done. And I figure there's going to probably be three in there where we're traveling or something's going on, and it'll be a better than a date night or something. So
Yeah.
that's one of my big ones. And then I would say right behind that is all my children. I'm fortunate to have 8 children, which makes my targets. I got a lot of targets, so I like to figure out 3 times where like I'm really in one-to-one scenarios with my children throughout a quarter, and where I can, listen to them, ask questions, be very intentional, really just finding out where they're at. I'll keep a little notebook of, where my kids are at, what's going on, what they're thinking about. Cause I got kids now that are still at home and, just not even in high school yet. And I got kids that are married and,
Mhm.
out in the world. So, it's really fun to kind of keep the notes. And so then when I meet with them, let's say I meet with them in July, and then in August, I can look back and say, hey, well, how's that going? So I set three, for each of my kids, three three specific connects in my quarter. How about you?
Yeah.
What are
Yeah,
some of
so
your
a couple of my legacy targets. First one is solid morning routine. So for me, the way that I start my day really is impactful for my entire day. And so just really solidifying that and grounding that. And that affects everybody in my life, right? How I start my morning. So that is one. 12 cards. So 12 handwritten cards. I think taking a minute, slowing down, and intentionally writing a thoughtful note to somebody or inspiring someone makes a huge difference in people's lives. So
yeah
I'm going to do 12 of those this quarter. Date with my sister Annalie. She's growing up, she's living her life, and I just really want to be intentional with her this quarter. And the last one is to actually move into our house. So my husband and I are in the process. We're actually under contract for a home, and we're going to move into our space this
nice
quarter.
nice
So
nice
yeah,
You got a cheat sheet there. I might have to get mine out.
you have to get your cheat
Yeah,
sheet
I
out.
might have to get mine out.
Your
Uh,
targets.
I put vacations
Mm,
on my legacy as well, because I find that those are times where I'm disconnected from the business. And I will highly recommend, if you've ever taken a day off at work, that you actually shut your computer for 24 hours. You shut your email down. You shut your text messages down. That's what I call like a real free day,
yeah.
where you're totally free from business, and you can really just hone in on what's going on. And then also I like the special days for people, so their birthdays. So I put my kids in the legacy. So I have three kids that have birthdays this quarter. Kyle and Aiden and Sophie all have birthdays this quarter. So I'll be intentional, and just cause me to higher attention that I got those on my target list.
Yeah.
So
All right. Well, what about inspiration for you?
yeah, so under inspiration, I actually put my morning ritual.
Okay.
So you can do so. The beautiful thing about these are your targets. You
Yes.
figure it out, you know. But I put my morning routine in there, and my morning routine has vastly changed over the last 90 days. I now, first thing in the morning, I get up and I go running, and I listen to some sort of music or meditative music, and that really just gets me going in the morning, and then that leads into the rest of the things I do. So switching up my morning routine, I actually write out what I'm going to do when I get up. I set it as a ritual, and then I'll tweak it from quarter to quarter. So I've really revamped that this quarter. So that's a big thing. 24-hour clarity breaks. So that's where I shut everything down, business, personal, everything, and I just go be alone for 24 hours.
Mm.
And usually rent a room, or I'll go somewhere. That's something that I've learned from lots of books, and something as a leader through a strategic coach has really encouraged that as clarity breaks. But 24 hours all by myself, just a place to think, blank notebook, paper, and just write everything that comes to my mind. Let it all out, rest,
Yeah.
go to a fun place, somewhere where I can just be free. So those are some of my key ones. Another one that will personal professional is outreach. So we look for opportunities that we can serve in our community. So outreach opportunities. Sometimes we'll pull the business together with that. I'm thinking of the downtown, feeding of the homeless
Yes.
and things like
Impacting
that.
families
Yep,
outreach,
yep.
or
So
even the Ellie's Place race.
yep, that's tomorrow.
Yes. Yep.
How about you?
Yeah. So for mine, I have actually similar to you. I've got 3 clarity breaks I'm going to be taking this quarter. Find a favorite podcast. So we're obviously filming and producing our own podcast now. I have loved to listen to podcasts, and I've got about 3 favorites right now, but I want to find a new favorite podcast. So I want to venture out and listen to a lot of other content and find, another person who's putting out high quality podcast content. And then 2 books on my inspiration: Think and Grow Rich and Journey of the Souls. So,
Nice, nice.
so 2 books I'll be reading. All right. What about fitness for you?
Yeah, fitness is a big one.
Mm-hmm.
I already mentioned morning routine and running, so definitely looking to continue to build that. And I've hired a coach, and so I have somebody that's helping me build that, so I'm long term healthy. You get in your upper 40s. An injury in your upper 40s can last a lot
Yeah.
longer. They can nag for months on end. So just making sure I'm being healthy, doing some other exercises to support running. So that's a big one for me this quarter. Working with a new coach, averaging 12,000 steps a day, and then
Nice.
and then food prep. So Sunday food prep. So making sure that I got my food prepped out. I do breakfast, lunch, dinner, probably 5 days a week, and then I have some flexibility in there, so I know exactly if I eat what's in there that I will either maintain, or if I want to lose a little bit, I can plan all that in advance, and then I can play with my macros and see how that affects my health and my energy. Because I'm really looking at not just the food itself, but how it affects me. So it takes some time over time. So those will be some of the things that I'll be focusing on this quarter.
Yeah, and you've really transformed this area, which has been inspirational to watch. And like you said, it affects all areas of your life. So for me, I've got run 2 5Ks, I've got daily walk in there, and then 20 Pilates classes. So
Nice,
I stay
nice.
strong.
I got to come try one of those Pilates classes with you sometime.
I know you should.
You
There's a new studio in East Lansing, Reformers Pilates, and they do such a great job. Or Recharge Pilates, sorry.
recharge?
Recharge. Yeah,
Is that
Liv
with the
is
machine or whatever?
yeah, that's with the machine. Liv over there is the owner, and she's amazing.
Okay,
So
cool.
yep, and they teach Reformer Pilates
Yeah, well, you
classes.
finish out yours and then I'll close it out.
All right, cool. So for enterprise, I'll just share a couple here. I've got 6 targets in there. Again, this one is the easiest area for me to set targets. Like you said, it just comes more natural. And so that's why it's really important to set targets for the other areas though, because it's not as natural. But two of mine in here are redo my planner and organization system. So I've got different tools I picked up over time, and I just want to reset what I'm doing for organizing, for tracking tasks, for tracking my rocks, all of that stuff. So I've got redo that system, and then launch my own personal social media. So I'm going to be doing a lot more social media, for myself, just talking about lifestyle and design. And so that'll be something that's coming this quarter.
Cool. Cool. That sounds exciting.
Yeah.
So I put books in there. I usually have 5 or 6 books that I've heard about over the last quarter that I may want to read. And I don't always read all of the books or the ones that are on my list, but I start with something and I'll kind of track and see. So that's always fun to get those in for the quarter. Um,
What are some of the books? I'm curious now.
some of the books this quarter are I want to reread the Sales Management Simplified,
Mm,
um, The Power of Now. Yeah. So those are two that I'm.
that one, that one speaks for
Yeah,
itself.
yeah,
The title, "The Power of
yeah,
Now."
yeah, yeah. So those are two. There's a parenting one that I want to read as well. So
That's awesome.
we'll see if I get to that. Uh, some of the things that I track in my role at Custom Built is because a lot of what I'm doing now is coaching the team. And so in order to be able to coach, you have to be with people. So I like to call them ride-alongs. So I'll do 30 ride-alongs this quarter with my team, and that just means riding along into an appointment or and then other parts of the business too. So since I'm essentially the integrator as well in the company,
Mhm.
I will go in production and ride along with a field supervisor or see what's going out on the job sites. And just so I'm very intentional and just kind of going out. And the hardest thing about these for me is not saying anything
Mm,
because I want to be there and kind of make sure the appointment goes well and stuff like that. But my job is really just to be there and observe and then be able to give feedback and coaching afterwards. So those are some big goals. And I do the handwritten cards under this as well. So handwritten cards, I learned that from Jesse Itzler. So big shout out to Jesse. I'm a big fan of his. I was thinking about doing I want to find out when his run is, like
oh, yeah.
the Hill of Hell or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, yeah. It's where he's opens up his front yard and they run this hill
So
until
fun.
they die. So and then they do cold plunges afterwards. So that's right up my alley. So, anyways, those would be some of my business enterprise goals for the quarter.
Awesome. Well, we hope today has been informational and inspirational to you all. Thank you for joining on the Blueprints podcast. This is a blueprint for you to continue to grow personally and professionally in your life.